Who loves prospects? Everybody loves prospects. Let's talk about them next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5, a podcast that gets you caught up fast on the fantasy news and advice that you need to know. Follow and stream us on Spotify and anywhere else podcasts are found. Today is Thursday, March 18th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White. And let's start off with Jared Kelenic, the outfielder for the Seattle Mariners. He has been dealing with a knee injury, Scott, but he just recently returned to spring training action. What are you thinking with Kelenic? Can he break camp with the team?
I don't think he's going to, but he's my number one prospect to stash. I think it should be in all leagues. And I think, the injury gave the Mariners an easy excuse to send him back down for more seasoning, but he's basically a finished product. He just has to prove it the first few weeks. I suspect before the end of April, we'll see him, and he may be a 5-category contributor. So must stash virtually all leagues.
Jared Kelenic, the last time we saw him in the minors back in 2019, he hit 291, 23 home runs with 20 steals. So definitely could be a 5-category contributor, as Scott mentioned. Wander Franco, arguably the top prospect in all of baseball, only 20 years old with the Tampa Bay Rays, and they've recently optioned a few of their prospects back to their alternate training site. Wander Franco was not one of them. What are the expectations here, Scott?
Again, I don't think it's going to be an opening day situation, but again, I think it's going to be soon enough, and the payoff is going to be big enough that you need to stash him ahead of time. The contact skills are so good that I expect it'll be an easy transition, even though he's only 20. The Rays kind of tipped their hand by dragging him along to the World Series in case they needed to activate him. It shows they think he's more or less ready. And he got some action at third base this spring. That'll probably be the path of least resistance to getting him to the majors.
Wander Franco, the kid is superhuman. He just turned 20 years old, and for him to accomplish what he has already at this point, more walks than strikeouts in his minor league career. Let's move over to a starting pitcher, MacKenzie Gore of the San Diego Padres. He is 22 years old. The strikeouts, the ability, there's no doubt, Scott, but he still has some issues with walks. What are we thinking here with MacKenzie Gore?
He technically could still make the team because Dinelson Lamet, coming back from an elbow issue, doesn't seem like he's going to be ready. But the Padres have other options that I think they're more likely to go with, especially since Gore didn't get the call last year because of some control issues at the alternate training site. He's had some walks this spring too. So I think they want to feel more comfortable. He's at a good place for them, but I still expect it'll be soon. He's the best pitching prospect in baseball, dominated at every level in the minors. Gore kind of completes the big three of stashable prospects, the guys I think should be stashed basically in all leagues. Obviously Kelenic and Franco being the others, Gore being the one pitcher.
Gore has made 43 minor league starts, 2.56 ERA with 243 strikeouts and 183 innings pitched. So the numbers are just ridiculous for MacKenzie Gore. Let's talk about another starting pitching prospect, and that is Logan Gilbert with the Seattle Mariners. He's a little bit older, too, at 23 years old. Do you think that can help him potentially get into the rotation sooner, Scott?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's pretty close to being a finished product, too, because he's already performed well at Double-A. He already has 2 good breaking balls, made a lot of progress with the changeup at the alternate training site. His big issue is that he's on the Mariners and doesn't look like they're going to compete this year. So there's no reason for them to rush Logan Gilbert, but he's kind of at a point where he's dictating the timetable to a degree. And I would think at least by the summer, he'll be up and contributing for the Mariners. So in some deeper leagues, you might want to stash Logan Gilbert.
Let's wrap up with another Tigers pitching prospect. It feels like every day we're talking about a new Tigers pitching prospect. They have Tarek Skubal. They also have Casey Mize. You know what they say about those Tigers prospects. They're great. He has already been optioned down to their alternate training site. Matt Manning has. He's also a little bit older at 23 years old. What are we thinking here, Scott?
Yeah, he would have been up last year with those two if he wasn't dealing with an injury. But he's healthy now. Obviously, he's had a very consistent, steady minor league career. A lot of strikeouts at every stop. Big 6'6" guy with a hammer curveball, and some prospect gurus would rate him the best of that trio, better than even Tarek Skubal and the former number 1 overall pick Casey Mize. So it might be another summer situation since the Tigers are a rebuilding club. But Matt Manning, I expect to contribute this year.
If you are wondering where Andrew Vaughn is on this list, Scott expects him to either break camp with the White Sox or be up very early in the season. So you don't really
basically counting him as on the team, whether it's technically true or not.
Yeah, you don't have to stash him. You just draft him and hope that he makes a contribution sooner rather than later. Again, that is Andrew Vaughn. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. This is your audio outlet for fantasy news and advice in just 5 minutes. If you enjoyed the pod, please leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.